the Nobody Asked Me Guy show. I'm your host, Melvin Lars. Listen, we have a fantastic guest with us this evening, Miss Charisa Munroe. We're going to be telling you a lot of things about her. We also have another fantastic guest with us, and Mr. Kente, who will be sharing with me in this podcast. But again, we want to wish you good evening. We're so happy that you guys are here. Now, with Miss Munroe, as many of you know, actually probably I'm sure all of you know, Ms. Munroe is the daughter of Dr. Myles and Ruth Munroe, and we want to give a heartfelt condolences not only to Ms. Charisa Munroe on a personal level, but also to her brother Myles Jr., to the Munroe family, and to the Munroe Christian family. And we want to be very explicit with that explanation because we know that as we all love one another, and many prominent ministers have sons, and many times people call themselves family, and we very true. But we want to be explicit in our condolences and our prayers for the immediate Munroe family, if I'm allowed to say that, obviously for Ms. Charisa and for Myles Jr. and for all the other family members. So we just want to say again, Brother Kente, that we're glad you're here. And as we talk with Charisa, I mean, she's just a real Renaissance woman, and I'm going to be sharing some small details because I'll be until tomorrow evening trying to share with you guys all the things that Charisa does. But Charisa, obviously, she's a dynamic motivational speaker, and you guys have been seeing some of the promos that we've been putting up, and you've had the opportunity. We want you to have the opportunity to hear this brilliant young woman of God speak and share. So hopefully you guys have had an opportunity to watch those. Now, I was noticing in her bio, she's very proud to be from the Nassau, Bahamas, and she describes it, the place where God lives. And I will not mess with that because we know that she's very right. And we know that God is omnipotent, and we know that he's all over the place. Now, Charisa is very influential and a motivational speaker who is activating action in individuals and organizations across the world, sharing the foundation messages of purpose and hope. And we all know that we need to, Charisa, that was the first time if I may, I heard your father when he always talked about purpose. I could hear him now talking about purpose. And it's just amazing to be sitting here with you and talking with you. Now, Charisa she's currently serves as president of the Myles and Ruth Munroe Foundation, and she's vice president of Munroe Global Incorporated, both of which has prepared her to add fuel to the fire. She is sparkling in the hearts and souls of many. She's president and CEO of Charisa Munroe LLC. It is a personal brand, a company that serves to empower lives and help others to define, develop, and deploy their purpose for greatness. And she counts it a great honor to lead others into reaching the meritorious levels of their lives. Charisa is a new and upcoming author, and we're going to be talking about her new release. It's a 31-day devotional titled Empowerment for Everyday Living. Now, guys, you've heard enough from me. And as you can see, we're having technical glitches with Ms. Munroe's camera. I don't know why it's acting up. Well, we know why. That's the devil acting up. But at this time, Ms. Munroe, they've heard so much from me. I don't want to talk anymore. We want to introduce Ms. Charisa Munroe, and we're so happy that you're here. Ms. Munroe, thank you for joining us.
Thank you so much for having me. It's been a pleasure. It's been an honor to be asked on the show, and I don't take these lightly. They're coming more now, but I just thank God for the continued stage and opportunity to just kind of tell my story, but also share my life with others. Are we having some issues right now? Or are you hearing me perfectly well?
Yes, I'm hearing you perfectly well. Unfortunately, the camera is bouncing in and out, and it may be this camera. If I'll ask you to bounce to that bottom camera, and maybe that one won't be jumping in and out. It might be our camera. It may be a glitch in the system here. But if you'll try that bottom camera and see if it does the same thing, please. But as Ms. Munroe is returning and coming back to us, guys, we have a series of questions that we'll be asking. And if you look in the Ms. So Steph, glad you're here and joined us. We're happy that you're here. If you'll ask your questions in the box to the left, or if you prefer to be live, make the request, and I will unlock the box, and we can do so at that time. Now, Ms. Munroe has returned with us. Miss Munroe, if you could just tell us a little bit about some of the things that really interest you and where your passion really lies.
Okay, so my video is frozen, but how's my audio?
Yes, video will return momentarily. We pray.
Oh, you want to open up the room.
Yes, we have to open it so she can try to come back. Okay, yeah, we have to open up so you can come back. We're just having some glitches, but hey, that's all a part of it. But nothing stops us, and I know that all of you that have listened to us before and that have joined Brother Kente, you know nothing stops us.
No.
So we're just going to work patiently. Brother Kente, how are you this evening, sir?
I'm doing excellent. I'm so happy to be here.
Hey man, we're happy to have you here. Oh, there you are. See, there's that beautiful smile again. So and that have joined Brother Kente, you know nothing stops us. So we're just going to work patiently. Brother Kente, how are you this evening, sir?
I'm doing excellent.
I'm getting some recording feedback here
Yeah.
coming from someplace. Yeah. Oh, there you are. See, there's that beautiful smile again.
Okay, let me see. Is it me?
Okay, I'm getting some recording feedback. Now, Ms. Charisa, if you will you share with us, a little bit about your passion? I know we see here where you have several degrees in social work, and you're moving forward with that. Will you share with us a little bit about that? And actually, in the introduction, we saw how you like empowering people and moving people forward. If you will you share with us, a little bit about your passion? I know we are getting some feedback, Ms. Munroe. I don't know what's happening here, and we're getting some feedback. Share with us a little bit about that. And actually, in the introduction, we saw how you like empowering people and moving people forward.
Ms. Munroe, try muting and let's see if that clears it up.
What's happening here?
Okay, unmute Melvin.
Okay.
Yeah, it's coming from Miss Munroe. She probably has it open up maybe on another screen that she doesn't know about.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's probably
okay. But great, Ms. Munroe, we want to hear from you, and the opening question is whatever you want to share. But we're just kind of wondering if you share with us about your passion and your growth process as we move forward, as you move forward in your career. Okay, great. Ms. Munroe.
Yeah, wait, hold on. You have it probably open on another screen. So can you check your windows and make sure that you don't have it open somewhere else?
As we move forward, as you move forward in your career. Okay. I will check to see because it's live streaming on Facebook.
Yeah,
I'll check to see.
Facebook. Yeah, it might be coming through her Facebook, possibly. Hello?
Okay, how's that?
It's gone now.
Okay. You know what? It was live streaming on YouTube. Okay, Ms. Munroe, I think we got the bugs worked out now.
Hello?
Yeah, I hear you fine.
No, I hear me echoing too. So, hold on a second.
Okay.
Talk when I. Mute.
I hear you once you come off mute, but I don't hear you now. If you say something, please. Okay, yes, I hear you.
Okay, that's odd. All right.
Okay. Ms. Munroe, would you grab a camera again, please? Man, this is nothing but the devil for sure today.
It is.
Yeah.
All right. Oh, wait, I hear an echo. So is it me? Maybe I kind of hear a faint echo.
Okay.
Wait, hold on a second. I'm a when she goes in, I'm a mute.
Okay. She's coming in now.
Is it me? Maybe
Is that better? No? Yes?
I
Yeah.
kind of hear a faint.
Okay. We are going to edit this, so we're going to try, even though we are live, but we will edit. Okay. So,
You're
Ms.
fine.
Munroe, it's all yours. If you can just share with us your passion for social work and a little bit, please. We are going to edit this, so we're going to try, even though we are live, but we will edit. Okay. So,
You're
Ms.
fine.
Munroe, it's all yours. If you can just share.
Do you want to try starting it, taking it from the top?
And
Maybe
yes,
start another
yes.
room, and then just so that you won't have to edit all of it out.
Okay.
You know? So, but yeah, the echo is coming from you, Miss Monroe. I think you it's like you probably have another room open, maybe, and just so that you won't have to edit all of it out.
Okay.
You know? So, but yeah, the echo is coming from you, Miss Monroe. I think you it's like you probably have another room open, maybe, just so that you won't have to edit all of it out.
Okay.
You know?
Hi, can you hear me? Testing, 1, 2.
The echo is coming from
Yes. Yes. Do
it's like you
site open?
room open.
Okay. No, she doesn't, Kente. She doesn't.
No, just me.
Yeah,
Okay.
no, she doesn't. She only has.
Testing, 1, 2. See, I can even hear myself, so there's a lot
Yes.
going on. So when I'm talking, there's a distraction.
Yeah. No, she doesn't. No, there's a lot of feedback, and we're trying to figure out what's going on here. Looks like we. No, she doesn't. She only has.
Testing, 1, 2. See, I can even hear myself, so there's a lot
Okay.
going on.
Just
Distraction.
okay. Just hold on for a second, please, while we're trying to find out what's happening here, and we're trying to figure out what's going on here. Looks like we.
I can even hear myself, so there's a lot
You can you mute? If we both mute at the same time, we can isolate it.
Okay, just hold on for a second, please, while we're trying to find out what's happening here, and we're trying to figure out what's going on here. Looks like we.
I can even hear myself, so there's a lot
You can you mute? If we both mute at the same time, we can isolate it.
Okay, just hold on for a second, please, while we're trying to find out what's happening here, and we're trying to figure out what's going on here. Looks like we.
You can you mute? If we both mute at the same time, we can isolate it.
Okay, just hold on for a second, please, while we're trying to find out.
Testing, 1, 2. Can you hear me well? Okay. So I think the first question that you were asking, all the noise is gone, so I can talk now. Some of my interests and passion, and so yes, I am a social worker. Can you hear me well? Okay. So I think the first question that you were asking, all the noise is gone, so I can talk now. Some of my interests and passion, and so yes, I am a social worker. Can you hear me well? Okay. I think the first question that you were asking, all the noise is gone, so I can talk now. Some of my interests and passion, and so yes, I am a social worker. I think the first question that you were asking, all the noise is gone, so I can talk now. Some of my interests and passion. Yes, I am a social worker. I think the first question that you were asked, all the noise is gone, so I can talk now. Some of my interests in past. Yes, I am a social worker. All the noise is gone, so I can talk. Some of my interests in past. Yes, I am a social worker. Hi.
I've never had this happen ever, ever, ever.
I tell you, it always happens to me when I'm a guest on somebody's show. It's crazy.
Yeah, it's it's Satan. Satan. Okay, let's try it again. Let's try it. Listen, I'm going to start the intro over. Let's and then because I'm going to edit all that first part out. So
Okay.
I'm going to start the intro over. Okay. Good evening and welcome to the Nobody Asked Me Guy show. Listen, guys, you're going to have a great, great, great time this evening. We have a wonderful, wonderful guest in the person of Charisa Munroe. Now, I'm sure all of you, most of you, maybe I should say, if not all of you, are familiar with Charisa or with the works that she's done, or that name Munroe may be resonating in your head, bouncing around. Charisa is the daughter of doctors Ruth and Myles Munroe. And as we know, as I said to Charisa on another occasion, is that my first experience of really getting into listening heavily was when Dr. Munroe was talking about purpose. So Charissa herself talks about that, and she shares with us. Now, she's a native of Nassau, Bahamas, and she calls it the place where God lives. And we certainly can appreciate that. She studied under the tutelage of her parents, Dr. Myles and Ruth Munroe. Now, Charissa currently serves as the president of the Myles and Ruth Munroe Foundation and vice president of Munroe Global Incorporated, both of which prepare her to add fuel to the fire she is sparking in the hearts and souls of many. She is president and CEO of Charissa Munroe, LLC, a personal brand company that serves to empower lives and help others to define, develop, and deploy their purposes for greatness. She counts it a great honor to lead others reaching the meritorious level of their lives. Charissa is a new, up and coming author with a new release. It's a 31-day devotional, and it is titled Empowerment for Everyday Living. And we certainly can use that. We all can use empowerment. So, without further ado, I do want to share with you a little bit more about Charissa, and it's going to be in her hands. Charissa is an influential and motivational speaker who is activating action in individuals and organizations across the world, sharing the foundational messages of purpose and hope that was instilled in her by her legendary parents, Doctors Myles and Ruth Munroe. So without further ado, guys, we share with you Ms. Charissa Munroe. Charissa, thanks for being with us.
Thank you so much for having me. It is such a pleasure. I take it an honor to be asked to be a guest on your show. I never take these lightly. It is always God's plan to just give the opportunity and a platform for me to share my story, but also kind of share whatever it is he would have on my heart to help someone else and just offer hope to those that may be feeling down, especially having gone through what I've gone through. Anyway, whether I'm standing on a stage in front of 5,000 or I'm sitting at a chair at home, just on a podcast, or just from home, just being able to express myself. I just hope that I will touch one life at any given time. So thank you, Mr. Lars, for having me. Last time I saw you, I think was October of 2015 or
16.
so. 2016, yes. We were both at Deaver's event, and it was such an amazing event.
Yes.
I do remember that. I think we even have a photo together somewhere. So
we do.
Thank you. Thank you.
And listen, let me go backwards and offer my deepest condolences to you, Charisa, and to Myles Jr., and to the immediate Munroe family, as well as the Munroe friends and family, and we know that we all love Dr. Myles Munroe and Dr. Ruth, and we know, unfortunately, as Charisa mentioned, the tragedy that occurred. However, we know that his life is manifested and lives on through Myles Jr. and through you, Charisa, and through all of those that were students. I'll call them students, if I may, respectfully, that were students under his tutelage and that respect him so highly. So again, we just want to offer heartfelt condolences and incessant prayers to the immediate Munroe family, and to all of those of you that love and cherish Dr. Munroe as much as we do. Charisa, let's jump right into the. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Oh, I was just saying thank you so much. I don't think my brother and I can ever hear that enough, and it's always touches straight to the heart, because we know there are a lot of other people that were also affected. So thank you very much.
Well, you're more than welcome. So, guys, you've heard me talk enough, and we want Charisa to share with us. So you were here to hear her, not hear me. And as always, we always share with you. If you have any questions, please put them in the box to your left. And if you'd like to come on and FaceTime with Charisa, just let us know and grab one of those boxes, and you can talk to Charisa personally. But right now, we're going to ask Charisa if she will just kind of share with us, so her passion about social work. We know that she has a master's degree in that area, and she does a lot of things. And we've already talked about empowerment and promise. So, Ms. Charisa.
Thank you. Yes, social work is definitely the term that's been given to the passion that I've been birthed with, if I can put it that way. And I think that started from way back when, my love and desire to help those in need. And it was just a matter of figuring out how to coin that so that I can figure out which path to take as far as going to school and so forth and so on. So yes, I got my bachelor's and my master's in social work with a particular track in medical, in health. And it's because I just loved medicine. I've always loved medicine. When I was, during high school, during the summers, during college, during the summers, I would come home and I would work in the ER at one of the hospitals in the Bahamas. And so there was always that. For some reason, I didn't mind seeing blood, but I loved just helping people who needed some kind of assistance. And I don't care what kind of assistance I was just loved being there with the medical team and the doctors. And then when I went off to school, now they want to know, how do you bottle this up? And so I realized that I just love helping people. And of course, you go through college and you go through the different courses and you realize, okay, so this is probably the track that allows me to do what I like to do the most. So still be able to do medicine, but still be able to serve people and serve the community, which is the foundation of my passion. And so I went ahead and got social work, and I've been a social worker for the last going on 13 years, believe it or not. And I have totally loved and enjoyed it. My bachelor's or my
Okay, I don't know if you can hear me or not, Charisa. We lost your picture. So if I'm talking over Charisa, guys, it's because I can no longer hear her. and she will be returning. For some reason, we are having many technical difficulties tonight, and all of us that are believers, we know exactly why those difficulties exist. However, Charisa is sharing with us about her work as a social worker and her love for helping people and being assistive. So while we await her return, if she's hearing me, then that is why you guys are hearing me right now, because we have a series of questions and discussions that we're going to be covering with Charisa. So again, we're glad that you're here, and we hope that you enjoy this conversation piece that we're having tonight with Charisa Munroe. And any questions that you might have, feel free to ask. If you'd like to come on live with us, please do so at this time and share with us any questions that you may have. Now, also for our millennials that are listening, Charisa will be sharing with you about we will be talking about the millennials and the generation gap and about religion and church and how it affects, it goes from generation to generation. And Charisa will be coming to you tonight, sharing with you as well about that as we work out these glitches in this process. So stay with us. Feel free to ask any questions that you have. Put them in the box to the left here, or if you'd like to come on live, feel free to do that and come on in and talk with us. And we're going to take this thing and we're going to move it forward. So as we work through all of these glitches, we would just keep it rolling. And as you guys know, this is live, and that's what happens is when you go live, you don't have a chance to edit out all of the bloopers. However, it's well worth your time, and we are glad that you're here. So our millennials, feel free to jump in with any of your questions as Charisa works on her return, getting back to the screen, because we want to talk some about the generation understanding or misunderstanding, if you will, as it relates to Christianity, as it relates to religion, as it relates to faith. So there are a lot of questions out there that we are being faced with today, and people are asking questions about why is church. Looks like Charisa is back on board. Okay, there she is. She's back on board, and we were just trying to talk while the glitches be worked out. So please continue.
Okay, where was I?
Well, you were talking about working in the medical field, and
yes, so I'm able to work. I have the best of both worlds. I'm able to do social work and do it for a great population of people that really touch my heart, and that's those that are aching mentally, physically, and emotionally. And so my work allows me to do all of that, and I enjoy what I do. I've been doing it for about 15 years, and it's amazing. And I think it's been holding me so tightly, so I haven't been able to get away from it and kind of move in the direction that I know I need to get into, where I have a little more freedom. But I think, everything's going to happen with time. And then, of course, my master's in business administration came about when I started working with my dad. And I made that decision to go part-time at ministry with him. And I realized very quickly that I was going to be sitting around round tables and board meetings, and it was going to be more than just being his daughter. Now I was going to be a part of his promotional team and his PR team and the business team. And so I realized that, okay, so right there I had a weakness. And once you realize it, what are you going to do with it? And so my desire at that point was to now go ahead and get a master's in business administration, so I could, further educate myself and further inform myself. So when I sit down, I can actually make informed input into what was being said. So that's how that came about. And so here I am today, pretty much doing what I do still. Of course, since everything has happened, my life has shifted a little bit, and God has taken me into places that I had no idea. I had no idea what road I would be on this particular road or this journey, but here I am. And it's almost as though he's given me a broader platform to use my social work. skills and ability, and just, again, my passion, serving people, serving the community, serving the nation, and of course serving the world through, again, I continue to empower, educate, make people aware, and that one-on-one communication that you want to have with people, just so that they can feel and touch you and be able to see that, man, she really is a real person who are teaching real principles, and she's also living it as well.
Yes, excellent. Listen, excellent segue into our next question. You know, as we talk about millennials, and I was alluding to that while you were making your return, is that there's so many questions today, especially a young, and I don't like labeling people, but since the world has decided to label them millennials, you know, there's so many questions about faith and believing and not believing. Can you touch on that a little bit as far as some of our younger listeners that fall into that millennial category?
Well, I think there's so much out there now. Not that there wasn't any more distractions in former generations, but we have even more distractions now. And the way that you worded the question to me was, are the millennials now of the world depending less on faith and more on their own volitions? And I think what's beginning to happen is people are really depending more on self-made systems. And I see that as social work, because there are so many resources and systems that we're supposed to use to serve people. And of course, my social work from a professional standpoint limits me to what I can say and what I can use and so forth and so on. Whereas, and all of these systems are man-made. Every last one of them have been man-made, and they've been created since 30, 50, 100 years ago, and people are still using them now. And so there's more faith in that and less faith on the kingdom principles and the biblical principles that we can be using to attack some of these emotional problems and physical problems and mental problems that people are having. And
okay, Charisa, if you can hear me, technical difficulties are still occurring. But that's okay. We're going to keep right on rolling. As soon as you can return, just grab this spot. You'll be returning. But for those of you that's just tuning in, what we're discussing right now is the millennials, and the question that Charisa is addressing is, you know, there's so much talk about millennials and generations. You know, this is a generation this and a generation that. And I was asking her, she's expounding on that, does she see a major difference in the world of social work that may suggest that millennials depend less on faith and more on their own volitions? And that's what she's touching upon right now, and she will be returning. We don't know why we're having, well, we do know why. You know, that's the way Satan does when you're talking about him. When we talk about any topics, things generally go extremely smoothly. So as to Charisa's returning, if some of you have questions specifically to ask her addressing this particular topic or any of them, please feel free to join us. Grab one of those spots and join us. So we want to hear from you as well. You can also put your questions in the box to the left, and we will answer those questions. And we're going to be talking to Charisa about a multiplicity of things concerning just the world at large when it comes to Christianity, when it comes to having faith, when it comes to, you know, she uses the word quite often, empowerment, when it comes to empowering people. And so she talks a lot about her social studies degree and how it works for her, and about the business acumen of becoming a part of the Myles Munroe dynasty. Great, glad to have you back, Brother Kente.
Yes,
And again, see, we're having difficulty with her camera. But she's hanging in there, and she'll be returning here momentarily.
Yeah, we somebody just showed up out of the blue, so I had to answer that. But
yeah, no, but listen, you never show up out of the blue, because you were invited to be a part of the process.
No, someone showed up here out of the blue.
Oh, okay. I understand. But I was just sharing with our group that Charisa was addressing the millennials, and the question was, you know, did we think that they depend less on faith and more on their own volitions? And she was sharing with us that she feels very strongly that you know, they are going more with their volition as to the Christian faith and that kind of thing. And that's when the glitch returned. So right now we are battling the ills, let's just say, of evil, but we're going to overcome those. So as we have our guest here, and we have you here co-hosting with me this evening, Brother Kente, if you think you want to share while we're waiting on Charisa, please feel free to jump right in and share.
Sure. Thank you. Hello?
Yes, we're here. We hear you.
Wow. It's doing it here too. To me.
It's feedback again?
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's not just us. It's not just, that's crazy.
Yeah.
Okay. Wow. When you were talking, it was just fine, but the minute I started talking, okay.
Okay.
But anyway, thank you so much for allowing me to come on. It's on, when you're doing live radio or TV or video, things unfortunately happen, but you have been holding it down, my brother. And I want to say, it happens unfortunately, but you're going to get through it. So, but, I was, we're all really interested to hearing what this young lady has to say, and looking forward to this discussion tonight. I see Stephanie as well as Andrea
yes,
in the chat room as well.
Yes. Andrea, she can hear us, but she hadn't come on yet. Andrea is my niece.
Oh,
and I was, yes, man, and she is an engineer, but she's also an entrepreneur. She's a math guru, and they have a company that I want her to talk about as well. But she's something else, and I'm glad that she's here.
Yeah.
She's a Texan now.
Oh,
but as we wait on Charisa again, Steph, I thank you for being here as well. I know Kente addressed you, but I don't want to be remiss myself in not addressing you. We're happy that you're here, and we see your comments. You're absolutely right. Technically, the U.S. is post-Christian. We understand, and technically, that's unfortunate that we're having these issues, because Charisa has an awful lot to say about life in general, as social work and working with other people. And she's very, like most of us, she's a very busy person, but she actually, since her parents perished, she runs a major empire. And wow, for her just to take the time out to be here with us says a lot about her character, because she could have very easily said, hey, this platform is too small. You guys are not world known and that kind of thing, but she did not. She accepted this seat very graciously, and she is sharing with us very graciously. And for that, we will be eternally grateful. So we're not going to allow the glitches to kill our joy. We're just going to keep rolling. And I'm going to make sure she's still here with us. I hope she didn't get exasperated and just decided to step away.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what? Let me I'm gonna try. Hey, how you doing?
Hey, Andrea, how you doing, darling?
I'm gonna be right back.
Glad you're
I'm
here.
gonna see if it's like that in another room.
I had a choice of being on video or not.
Okay. Well, heck, we are glad that you're here, and while you're here, and while we're waiting on Charisa, we always work through the middle of the stream. I mean, that's what we do. So you want to tell us a little bit about CMath while we're waiting for Charisa to return?
Well, hi, I'm Andrea Johnson, and this is my uncle here. And he's been guiding me and being
very proud uncle, guys, very proud.
And he's been my mentor for the past few months. But basically, I have a math company where we used to be a math corporation for just adults, for anybody that was 17 and above. And we specialize in a math for college entrance. And then the reason why we started the business was because we found out that those who were taking a Texas college entrance exam, 80% were testing into the level 0 math class, which is the basic multiplication, division, fractions, and decimals. And 80% of people were testing into that. And they were getting ready to eliminate those classes in the community colleges and university. And so we said, well, if they offer those classes, where will those adults go for tutoring or teaching or to even get to that level? And so that's where we started See Math is Easy, is to reach that 80%, because if they don't have a foundation, they will never be able to get ahead in life. And so, so we just recently finished our second math workbook. We're going to be in our first bookstore in the first week of April. And we do accelerated intervention math programs for youth. And we do things for the high schools. We do things for kids. We do workforce math and so forth like that. Electrical engineer, if you need help, or someone who is trying to get their apprenticeship license for electrician or plumbing or construction, need a little help with the math and fractions, we can do those kind of things and guide you and help you get your certifications or your city contract license and stuff. So we're a non-traditional math company that do non-traditional things. So
excellent. Kente, you are so Steph, have any questions pertaining to math and what they do? I saw Charisa tried to return just momentarily. It looks like we lost her again. So we are going to hold down the fort until she returns. But I have told Andrea on more than one occasion, I am mathematically deficient. Once you get me past the basic, the multiplication and the simple multiplication of that. Once you get me past the adding and subtraction, multiplication, I'm pretty much done. Algebra, I was a B student at best, and that was because of praying. However, more like a C student, to be very honest with you.
I was a terrible math student. I hated math. I took the very minimum to get out of high school with. So, and that was on purpose because I didn't like, I loved English and history and, that kind of stuff and science, but math, it was just, a bunch of numbers. So
Excuse me 1 second, Kente. Charisa, please come in. We are just waiting on you. Grab that spot. We're just waiting on you. So I'm sorry. Continue.
No, I was just saying math wasn't my thing. So anybody who's really good at it, I'm always in amazement because, that wasn't the thing for me.
But I saw Steph is saying that she tested into Calc 1.
Wow.
I couldn't test. That's so Steph, you need to tell us about that.
It's funny.
Looks like Charisa is just about like Charisa is back. Wow, that's we okay. Charisa, we're just waiting on you. You're trying to come in. I'm looking at the camera. It's trying to come in. So hopefully we will connect. But we're going to keep going. But Charisa, if we will be quiet now. Usually, once the camera starts, I think we can hear you. Can you give us a test? Okay, I guess we can't hear you yet. Okay, Andrea, you were saying. Hey, thanks for joining us, Shannon. We're having some technical difficulties, and Charisa is trying to come back in with us. So that's why you don't see Charisa yet. And so right now we're just talking to this math guru that has a company called See Math, and she's just kind of sharing some things with us while we wait for Charisa to return. So go ahead, Andrea.
Yeah, when I have opportunity to share, our company is called See Math is Easy. And when I have opportunity to share with them, I tell them that, I started out as an engineer. And, but, I've also taught in the grade school as an 8th grade math teacher. And then also I'm teaching at the college right now, and I have my own math company. And it's funny because, the other lady said that she tested into calc. Well, I took calculus 5 times, but yet they still let me in the classroom. So it's because I was always able to see everybody else's mistakes but mine. So when people, are fearful of testing and fearful of math, I have an understanding, and it seems like those who come to our class as children, youth, or adults, such as yourself, Mr. K, they leave with confidence, realizing that they can do it because we bring it down to a place where you're able to understand and grasp and continue to move on. And that's what we hear over and stuff. So
fantastic.
So we bring life,
fantastic.
Bring life to it.
Okay. Great. Charisa, if you can hear me, we're waiting on you, darling. So don't give up and don't despair. We're waiting on you. Shannon, great to have you with us. So Steph has been with us a minute, and we're having some technical difficulties here with Charisa's camera. She's been on talking to us already, but it keeps going in and out. But we're glad that you're here, and we happen to have one of the owners. There are two of them, Alyssa and Andrea Reynolds, the owners of CMath, the math company, and she's sharing with us while we're waiting on Charisa to return. So if you guys have any specifics or questions you want to ask or relate, we see that Steph is quite the mathematician. Kente and I have already shared with Steph and with Andrea that we would have been in a short bus group if everything was solely depending for us on math. And as Brother Kente has shared that, I certainly have to shake that brother's hand and tell him, hey man, we'd have been standing at the same bus stop waiting on that same bus as it relates to mathematics. So that's where we are. So Shannon, feel free to dive right in. If you want to share some other conversation, please feel free to do so. We are going to persevere and wait on Charisa's return.
Melvin, can I ask a question? Is Charisa
sure, please.
On is she on her cell phone or her desktop?
I don't know. I thought she was on the desktop. She's when I sent her instructions on what to use, I told her to do her PC or her office computer. So I don't think she's on the cell phone.
Mm-hmm. If you have her phone number, maybe you should call her and kind of walk her through.
No, I don't have a personal phone number for her. I only have the contact information through email and other contacts. But you know what? But as you share that, let me look and see if I can find that. But Don, thanks for joining us, man. Glad you're here. We're having some glitches with Charisa's camera, and so we're trying to wait to get her back on. She's been here with us already. As you can see, Kente has already joined us, and you see another young lady there. Her name is Andrea Reynolds. She's the mathematician, has a company called Math is Easy.
Mm-hmm. Where were you at when I was in school?
So Kente, I'm trying to see if I can locate her number here. Yeah. So anyway, guys, as we continue, feel free. Right now, we're just having free discussion as we're waiting on Charisa's return. And have things you want to share, please feel free to do so.
Well, I lived in the tutoring lab all the way from my 9th grade year to 12th grade year. Even if I had homework or not, my grandmother dropped me off at the tutoring lab and said, you better have a piece of paper and some kind of math problem on there because you're going to tutoring. And so, all right, hi.
Okay. Here we are. Thank you, beautiful. Thank you. Listen. When you left, we were talking about, or you were talking about, we were talking about the millennials and about whether they were going on their own volition, or if they were depending on present faith. Please continue.
Yes, and so my thought was, they have moved away from the church and what that stands for. And everybody is trying to figure out their own higher power, and just focusing on a lot of man-made. So in social work, I see it a lot. I see to where if I'm given the opportunity, a little open window to want to speak word and want to speak about God, well, they want something right now. They want to be fixed right now. They want something quick. And so usually most man-made resources are quick. The problem with those resources are, and I've learned this in social work over the years, they're limited. And so they run out, especially when you're working with a government and they have this government shutdown for so long. So no, you're not going to get food stamps for a couple of months. You're not going to get your Social Security benefits a couple of months. And they live off of that. They live off of these resources. And so, God forbid, I teach them about budgeting or saving up for a rainy day, because you're going to have moments like you never know what's going to happen. And so there is this thing of, yeah, I understand God, and I believe in God. Actually, a lot of them actually have a relationship with God that they grew up in hearing and learning, but they don't believe that, man, I'm sick now, so couldn't have been him, so now I need some help. And again, they always want something quick. And especially the millennials now that we've moved in this era where it's that microwave era, where now technology is advancing, and so everything is quick. Anything that's going to take time, even with success. My parents grew up in an era where your success, it took you 15 years before you saw the height of your success. Yes, but you put in the work. Now millennials want success tomorrow. They want to have thought about a business today. They want a website today. They want to be making money today. And that's 1, 2, 3, and they want to be successful. They want it quick. And so that's the type of generation that we're looking at, and that are coming up now. Is, yes, there's the blessing of the advancement of everything, but then that's also a curse.
Wow. Wow, that's very powerful. I know that could be a topic just all by itself. But listen, as president of the Myles and Ruth Munroe Foundation and vice president of Munroe Global, and you're the president and CEO of Charisa Munroe's LLC. Now, are you able to blend your social work expertise into all of these organizations?
By all,
as you address.
By all means.
Go ahead.
By all means. And I think part of it is because, remember I told you, social work is the term that was given to my already innate passion and gifts. So naturally, yes. I'm someone that just loves people. I'm naturally someone that just loves serving and helping people. I'm naturally that person who, as soon as I see someone crying, as soon as I see someone who's less fortunate than me, my heart already melts. And so social work was just a term that I was able to find that did the best at coining what it is that I like to do. And so I'm able to take social work and take what I do and transcend it across the aspect, or across borders of life. Doesn't matter whether I'm doing it from work at the hospital, or whether I'm doing it from a stage, or whether I'm doing just talking one-on-one, or whether I'm in a classroom, or whether I'm just in the trenches helping someone with whatever it is they're doing. Nonetheless, I can still do social work. Well, it's more at that point. It's no longer just doing social work. It's now Charisa is now fulfilling her purpose. And
wow, great. Go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead. Please continue.
After you.
No, I was just going to offer Brother Kente, if he wanted to ask the question, I want to offer him to do that as well. He's co-hosting with me tonight. If anyone else have any questions, feel free to ask. Put them in the box to the left, or you can ask the question. So if you have a question, please ask it. If not, we're going to keep moving.
Yeah, I do have a question. At times, even the Christians who are very devout may have a crisis of faith. Maybe they wonder where their place is in the world, or whatever it is. And I was wondering, have you ever had any moments where you were very your Christianity maybe was tested to where you had to look within and really work?
My Christianity is tested every day. But it's interesting that you say Christianity, because now you're going to get me into a whole different topic. Because as soon as I hear Christianity, I hear religion. And as soon as I hear religion, then I automatically think with my mindset, which is that of a kingdom mindset, which are two totally different things. And so, yes, my Christianity and my religion would be tested all the time. But as a kingdom citizen and someone who lives by totally different principles, yes, there's tests and trials, but the principles of the kingdom of God doesn't change. And so to me, my Christianity is very linked to the human side of me. And I say the human side of me because there's a human part of me that when everything happened, I felt angry, I felt hurt, I felt pain, I felt sorrow, and I continue to feel that. But then there's a spirit side of me that knew better and that knew that God is a God of purpose and everything in life happens for a reason. And, God, He's the author and finisher of our faith. And so so there's that battle, and I had to believe that my spirit is stronger than my flesh. And so, yes, to say that if my Christianity is tested, yes, it is, and it always is. But again, I have a greater mindset, and I have a greater understanding of my place in this whole picture. When you look at our place on earth as kingdom citizens taking care of this territory, that I'm not moved by what that may look like. And again, that has come with my ongoing connection with, my dad taught the kingdom from as far as I could remember. And so once you grasp that, then you no longer think religion. You no longer think religiously. You no longer think Christianity, because Christianity is going to say exactly that. Well, I don't feel like doing anything today. I don't feel like getting up today. I've been hurt. I've been damaged. Well, they testing me so I can pretty much react. No, as a kingdom citizen now, you don't feel like moving, but you still got a mandate to fulfill. Yes, they may have hurt you, but the Bible talks about those who persecute you. We ought to love them. I mean, we have all these principles that we're supposed to live by, and these laws that's different from someone who is just doing it traditionally.
Wow.
And it's your question, Mr. Lars, with the foundation. So the Myles and Ruth Munroe Foundation is exactly that. It's us extending the love that my parents had for people and being able to serve people and the community. And so that runs in line with exactly who I am and what my brother and I enjoy doing. And so we started the foundation to do exactly that, to continue serving people through leadership, through education, the community. And then of course, once you start with the individual, then you eventually reach the world.
Excellent. Listen, you are just fantastic, and you're reading my mind because you segued right on into number 4. brother Munroe Jr., brother Charo.
Yes.
If we might call the brother by his, I think he prefers Charo, if I'm not mistaken, or is it just
as of lately he's gone by both.
Okay, he goes by both.
He goes by both. Yeah.
Okay. Well, good. Listen, please give him my regards. As a matter of fact, we had a little tete-a-tete, a friendly tete-a-tete, if you will, on Facebook the other day, just saying hello to one another. How you doing? Haven't seen you in a while. Okay. So please give him my regards. And I'd love to have him on the show. I would love to have Charo on the show as well.
Okay.
Now, of your many interests, which, if any one of them, demands the bulk of your attention? And I know you have many.
That demands, but you said that demands my attention.
The bulk of it, yes.
Serving others and making people happy demands a lot of my attention. And yes. and it's because I literally live by, if you're happy, I'm happy. If the people around me, my friends, my family, my patients, if they're happy, then I'm truly happy. And that actually demands a lot out of me, because there's a piece to that if I'm not careful, then I will start to not take care of myself. And so there's a balancing act that needs to happen that demands a lot of my attention, because there's 95% of me that's not interested in me. I'm interested in making sure that everyone else is happy and everyone else is satisfied and have what they need, and then take care of me. So sometimes there's that. Okay, so sometimes I have to decide now. It's just take this little moment, take care of Charisa, whatever that looks like, and that can be working out, that can be going shopping, that can be visiting friends. I love to travel. Two things I love to do. I love to travel and I love to eat. Okay, which is why working out is very important. So the two must go hand in hand. So, that's why I do take care of me. But my greatest demand is my service to people.
Wow. Wow. But you know what? If I may mix in another question with that, as you share about your greatest love is being serving people and knowing the kind of person that you are, knowing the kind of person that your parents were and are, and Kente asked a very impelling question as well. And I'd like to just ask you, when you are a person like Charisa, who has the unquestionable love for people, and you do everything that you are capable of doing, as far as you are aware, to assist those individuals in trying to make their lives better, but for some reason, they have no interest in trying to either receive you and or make your life better. Can you maybe share with us a little of that empowerment information, how to deal with that?
So give me the question again.
The question primarily is, if Kente is a very kind, warm person, and he is very interested in being kind and caring to others, but he does not get that back. Not that he's doing it to receive it. However, it would be nice to get it back sometimes. It's so I'll say it this way. It's difficult to help people understand that you don't do nice things or the right thing to do because you want to attaboy or you want to pat on the back. But it doesn't hurt for it to be reciprocated from time to time.
Okay, I see what you're
asking. Yes. Yes.
Look at Jesus, for instance. How many times have Jesus did something and he was persecuted, he was ridiculed, he was banned, he was stoned, he was beaten? I mean, everything that could happen to him. He was spat on, he was talked about, he was lied to. I mean, he did it all. But that didn't stop him from doing what he knew he was supposed to do on this earth. And so I think the best answer that I can give to that is none of that matters when you're focused on what you are supposed to be doing. Had he allowed that to matter, had he allowed people's reaction or response to him to matter, and he would have stopped doing what he would have done, he would have complained, he would have said, I'm not doing this anymore, he would have thrown in the towel, and then he would have never died for us. He would have never served us. And so sometimes I think we get so caught up, like you say, in the accolades and being famous and someone giving to me what I gave to them, versus I'm just here to show you some love. You don't have to take it. But one thing you are going to say is when you leave here, when I leave, you could be left saying, man, no matter how much I never gave it back to her, she always loved me. She always smiled. She always gave me a good word. And I wish I gave it back to her. That's on them. That's not on you.
Yes.
It's just like forgiveness. Yes. Forgiveness is not about them. Forgiveness is about you and making sure that you aren't stopping your blessing because you're holding a grudge. And so, when I am the way I am, people, like I have some patients who, oh my gosh, I love my patients to death, but sometimes they can be a handful. And I can't go to work one morning. And say, you know what? I am not going to do this for Mary Sue because Mary Sue cursed me out yesterday. Like those are the type of patients I have. And I don't do that. I say, you know what? I'm here to serve them. I'm here to make sure they're satisfied. I'm here to provide some kind of service. I'm going to do that regardless of who cursed me out and call me whatever name they could call me. And so that's how I am to my friends. I have some friends who could never give me what I give them. By no means. But it doesn't change the love. It doesn't change my desire to do what I'm going to do to make them happy because I know that they're going to be happy. Notice I said to you, when they're happy, I'm happy. That means I'm doing something to make them happy. And as soon as I see a smile on their face, they've given me everything I need. And so that question, it's definitely an individual question. What are you doing it for? And there are some people who are doing things for the attaboys. And you did it for me, so I did it for you. But I'm not one of them. And I think for me, I actually don't have that problem because I'm not so much materialistic, but I'm more time spent. I'm more words of admiration or words of gratitude. I'm more the things that you can't touch and hold, or I'm more of a hug. And so those are the things that people have no control over. So whether you give it back to me, I've already given it to you. Whether you choose to hug me back, it's okay. I've already hugged you. Versus, if it's financial, okay, I give you a couple of dollars, you can't give it back to me. Should I feel some type of way or should I not? Is it that important? Did I give it to you because I want you to give it to me in return with interest? So it just depends on where your heart is, because it's your heart that matters as a servant.
Absolutely. If anybody have any questions, feel free to jump in because we're going to keep right on moving. Right on moving. No questions? Okay. Listen, just before we get to talk about your book a little bit here, other than your parents, who has had the biggest impact in your life?
Boy, that's a tough question. Because it's, that's been the difficulty of this all. Is my parents have been the number one and the only next to God. And so since they have left, it's been, I think next to my parents, before them, it would have been my grandmother even before that. Okay. And my grandmother played a very big part of my life from I was younger. From we were babies, my grandmother was there. And so she's the one that taught us our first scriptures in the home. And she's the one that, babysat us. So there are certain basic things that we learned that grandmother taught us. And then growing up, she was big on family values and making sure that your family is your number one. So one thing that she wanted us and the entire family to make sure that we stick together like glue and nothing else. And so we, as a family, we remember this is what Grammy wants. She wouldn't want us to be fighting against each other. She wouldn't want there to be disunity. She wouldn't want there to be lack of anything. If uncle needs something, then you make sure if he need it from you, he should be able to come to you versus going outside of the family. And so even when my grandmother died, I don't know, 19 years ago now, 18 years ago, it was very hard for all of us because she was the glue. Like how my parents was the glue for this part of the family, she was the glue for all of us. And so she would have been probably the next best person that I can think about. But as far as anyone after my parents, it's been very difficult trying to figure that out. And
yeah. Well, and let me say this to you very honestly. I figured there may be a difficult question because many times, even with myself, being an old guy, is that when people ask me that question, I find it sometimes very difficult to answer because you think you really start to process the impact that people have actually made on you. And many times that list gets very short. And so I just kind of want to ask that and have you share with the audience here. Listen, let's talk about this 31-day devotional book that you're coming called Empowerment for Everyday Living. Can you share some of that with us, please? Some of the idea that inspired you to write it, and whatever you're comfortable sharing, please share.
So that book came about because people were always asking me, since everything happened in 2014, how are you? That was always that question. How are you? How are you able to stand on stage and not cry? How are you able to still wake up in the morning? How are you able to, still accept invitations and speak? How are you able to still look as good as you do? How are you able, there was all these how are yous. And there really were responses to these questions. Like I was able to say, I can do this because I had this faith, or I can do this because I knew that I couldn't say no, or I knew that the importance of saying yes, or I knew that I had to start. Like I couldn't get stuck, or I couldn't sweat the small things. And I'm on all of these things I'm saying now are different days in the journal. And so someone then said to me, Charisa, why don't you put all of this in a book, in some kind of form, so that people can have it and actually glean from you and kind of read it and just have it in hand? Because they're asking you and you're helping them, but it'll be good for them to have. And so I said, oh, okay. I never imagined writing a book. But so in my mind for a long time, I looked at it as a very mini project. I always called it a mini project until the Lord had to deal with me and say, what's mini in your eyes it's going to be major in mine. So I had to change the way I was responding and the way I was describing my own work. And so I sat down one day and I just kind of put everything together. And it's very short. It was very simple because I wasn't having any supernatural things that I do. I wasn't over the top and being just a superstitious fanatic. No, it was just simple things that I had to do and I had to learn over these last 4 years. And so and then there were scriptures that went with everything that I was doing. And so that's exactly what the 31-day devotional is. 31 days of behaviors and attitudes and mindsets that I took on after everything, coupled with a scripture that empowered me. And so, which is what has brought me from day to day since everything happened. So it was it's a book of empowerment, a book of hope, a book of purpose. And I just hope that, as people read through it, they get a quick moment of motivation that they would need to go on from one day to the next.
Oh, wow, that's great. Well, listen, that's that. The how. Say that again. You were being asked to how do. Is that how you say that?
How are you?
How are you? Wow, that's very compelling. That's very compelling. As I was listening to you share as to your reasons for writing that book, and the how are yous are very powerful. So with that, what is a typical day like for Charisa?
My days.
Or maybe I should ask you, do you have typical days?
There you go. So I was going to say, there's no such thing as a typical day in my life because every day, every week, every weekend is different. But a typical day in general is going to include me going to work, whether I'm working my professional job or whether I'm doing my work for the kingdom or some kind of workout. And then I always try and do a good deed for someone. And that can be as simple as a phone call, that can be as simple as a visit or something. And so usually that's what it is. And even though that may just be 2 or 3 things, that literally, there's not enough hours in my day to do just all of that. Because my work, both of those, my work and my job, take up a lot of my time. And then there are some days when I decide to take a rest. And taking a rest means just take a step back and don't do any work for anybody else, but just kind of do what I want to do. And that's when travel comes in. That's when visiting friends comes in. That's when eating what I want to comes in, and that sort of thing. So I try to do a good balance to make sure that I'm not just overreaching in any particular way.
Wow. Well, listen, as a world traveler, and a woman that has shared with us that you love various cuisines and you love various parts of the world. Are there particular places, or is there a particular place that get your attention as far as visitation and the cuisine, or are they separate entities?
If anyone says Africa, I am present all the time. Africa is one of the best continents. South Africa is one of the best countries. African food is one of the best cuisines, period. Wow. But when it comes to cuisines, I am a ethnic type of food. So I prefer anything non-American. So from African food to Mediterranean to Parisian to Thai to Indian to Chinese, if I can find any non-American cuisine, I am on top of it. Yes, I love fine dining. I love fine dining. I like the finer things in life, So
yes, and that's good. There's nothing wrong with that. But South Africa is definitely on my bucket list. I was in Kenya. As a matter of fact, my African name, and see, you brought it out of me. Nobody knows that. My African name is Ni Kwame.
Kwame. Okay.
Yes. I went through the ritual in Ghana in 2012. I went through a 4-day ritual, and I tell you, it's the most impending thing that ever happened to me. I mean, it was nothing like I can explain. And actually, the middle name was Anan, by the way, Ni Anan Kwame. I'm sorry, I should have told the whole
Mm-hmm.
name. And being there with the elders, learning the history and that kind of thing, and and well, I'll be quick. I'm a non-consumer of alcohol. That was the only thing that got me having to take these little sips. But wow, South Africa, that's one of my bucket list, and the cuisine. So listen, that's great. Do you plan to write any more publications?
I would like to, yes. There is a book that I need to get out. It's probably going to focus a little bit on what my journey has been through since November 2014.
Yes.
And that's going to be a major publication, and we'll see from there. But that one I'm working on.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
I think it's important.
That's the Andrea. Yeah. Oh wow. Okay. And have you decided on the title yet for that book?
I have not decided. Nothing has been finalized yet.
Okay. Can you give us a word of it as we get ready to close? Kente, you have any questions you'd like to share?
Yeah, I mean,
as we get ready to close.
Since 2019, we just started 2019. Was there any goals that you set for this year specifically that you're on your way to getting done?
So my goal, and I don't know if I should say this, but I would like to complete that book this year.
Okay.
And so that is one of my number one goals, is to complete that book this year. And then I do want to increase my speaking around the world. And so that actually is picking up very much so this year. My calendar is already it's definitely more full this year than it was the years before. So God is definitely opening up some doors. And, it's just a matter of saying yes. And that's pretty much what's going to be the basis of the book is, me saying yes to him. And as soon as I said yes, what happened? So you have to get the book to find out.
Oh yeah, listen, we're going to get the book. Last thing, before we ask you to share with us how we may contact you, a little bit on empowerment. And I know you covered that earlier, and we have some people jumping on late. If you could just share with us just a little bit about empowerment, as I know that's a general question. I know there are so many pieces and so many layers, but just anything that you might share with us briefly just about your work as far as an empowerer, if I might say, use that term, and I don't use it loosely, because I know that you are an extreme empowerer. And if you can share just a little bit with us how you may share with our quote millennials. I don't believe in labeling, by the way. That's why I always do quotes. If you share with our millennials, just our audience as a whole, and then once you do that, we are going to ask you, please, to share with us how we may contact you. And you've been so gracious to hang on with all of the glitches, and we're just so grateful that you did that. So if you just give us a little bit about empowerment, if you don't mind. I know that it's a broad scope.
I'm going to liken it to a battery. I'm going to liken it to a battery. So a car battery is this big box that is full of power. And even sometimes that battery dies for whatever reason. And sometimes all it needs is a jump start. All it needs is someone to touch the positive and touch the negative and just give a little bit of their energy to this battery filled with power just to jumpstart it. And then it can go again. And so, when I sometimes with empowerment, what I like to do is sometimes people just need a jumpstart. They just need a reminder. They just needed someone to say, okay, come go with me. They just needed someone said to keep going. It's not that people are powerless. People are filled with power. People are filled with authority. It's just that something somewhere along the line put a glitch in their system, in their journey, in their walk. And at that particular moment, they're down and out there still. And Charisa comes along and just reminds them, you got to get up. You got to start. You are not a failure. You are above. You are not beneath. You got to say no. You got to say yes. Take a rest. Be consistent. So those are just short empowerment phrases, but sometimes people just need that reminder. And so empowerment for me is just that. I don't need to give you any more power than you already have. You already have that. Sometimes it just needs to be reignited. And so that's what I want to do, is just have someone, because I would have wanted someone to do it to me. And so my book, for instance, does exactly that. It just reignites the power that people already have, therefore empowering them.
Wow. Thank you so very much. Listen, I do not want to be insulting nor greedy. As I said, you have been so gracious to come on and be with us, because I would be asking you questions until next week. So
We can always do it
we
again.
certainly do not.
We can always do it again. And again, people can follow me on Facebook. They can follow me on Instagram. They can follow me on Twitter. And my handles for all three is Charisa, Munroe, and the number 1. And yes.
Charisa Munroe, number 1. I'm going to put that in the chat here. Charisa Munroe, number 1.
And that's CHARI1SAMUNROE 1. And I'm going to be rolling out. Oh, my other plan, to Kinte's question, my other plan for this year is to work on, complete, and launch my website. There's a soft launch, but I haven't done a major launch yet.
Ah, okay. And wow. Do you need a bodyguard?
I do.
You need somebody. You need somebody to travel with you.
Until I get a husband.
I am putting in my resume.
Until I get a husband, I sure do. You know, my dad used to always say that my mom was his bodyguard, because people always wondered why he never traveled with an entourage, why he didn't have bodyguards. And he said, no, if I have my wife on the side of me, no one is going to touch me. No one is going to fool with me. No one's going to say anything. And so he carried my mom, and she was his bodyguard. So, like I said, until I get a husband, yes.
Oh. Well, hey, I am putting in my resume. I'm putting in my resume right now. Well, listen, we certainly want to thank you for being courteous enough and gracious enough to join us. And we certainly would love to have you back again. We want to obviously make sure that we work within your schedule. I know that you've already shared with us that your calendar is really, really full. And that's a good thing, because obviously as you get out there and you get those speaking engagements, do those things you're doing, I mean, they're just fabulous. And I want to encourage, while we have our listeners on here, I want to encourage them to just go to your YouTube channel. And since she's already given you information, Charisa Munroe 1, check out some of those broadcasts. They're very powerful and very impending. So we want to encourage you guys to do that. Brother Kente, if you'll share with us, please, how they can contact you, and then I'll shut this thing down.
Yes, you can get me on Twitter at Kente F. That's KINTEF. And Instagram, Kente Ferguson, my full name, FERGERSON. And of course, my website is indyradio.org. That's INDYradio.org. It was a pleasure to meet you. Sorry for the technical difficulties, but when you come back on, I'm sure that it'll be all hammered out.
Thank you very much. I too would like to apologize for all those technical difficulties. And as we close, we again want to offer and extend our condolences and prayers to you and Myles, Brother Charo, and the entire Munroe family and the entire Munroe followers. I am Melvin Lars, the Nobody Asked Me guy. I can be contacted at www.dyingonmyfeet.com. As some of you may or may not know, I have several books. One is called Dying on My Feet, My Journey Times 2. I'm a 28-year survivor of acute promyelocytic leukemia. I'm also a poet. I'm a columnist, a weekly columnist for the Goodman Project. I just finished up another book that'll be debuting on Mother's Day called Mothers and Their Smen, an introspective view of mothers rearing their sons. Now, moms, we don't want you to get upset. The book works for mothers and their daughters as well. However, we want to highlight mothers and their smen because there's so much talk about that. So we want to thank each and every one of our listeners. We're glad that you were here, Shannon, and obviously Kente and Brother C. Will and Andrea and Free Farrell and some of the other guys that have jumped off. As the guys on this show know, we go all over the world on YouTube and on Facebook. So once we edit this segment, then it'll be out there for the world to view. So again, Charisa, we want to thank you very much for coming on and being with us. And I just need to know where to send my application.
Yes, sir. Good night, pleasure. Thank you very much. It's been an honor.
Thank you. Listen, We do appreciate you so very much, and you have a wonderful, wonderful night.
I will. You too. Have a good night. Nice to meet you, Kente.
Nice to meet you as well.
All right. Bye, Mr. Lars. Good evening.
Bye-bye, Charisa.
All right. Great show, man.